those upgrades that was 50-50 and took almost no time to get. It was just like, it was one of those upgrades where it was basically like, if you don't get this upgrade, you're stupid, because you don't even need to do it on the lair. You can do it on normal hatcheries if you have lair tech. And sorry, I was just bothered by my brother there. You can do it just on a normal hatchery, and it costs basically nothing. It takes like no time. So, I think that's good that they're, you know, finally for once increasing the cost of an upgrade, making it more of a choice.
Okay. Yeah, the patch seems rather odd. Although I gotta say, on the Archon thing, I'm okay with the idea of you having to make this like a sort of emergency decision between, you know, I have this and I'm getting completely stomped. Do I want to sacrifice High Templar that are out of energy just so I can have that little bit of extra oomph? But yeah, they're not even that much oomph to be that sort of
always going
last
to,
sort of.
What I'm saying, like, if they're out of energy, they're not going to serve you any purpose except for being an Archon. You know what I mean?
I suppose, because it's better than just making them go away and waiting for them to recharge or something. I don't know.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. It's almost always better to morph them into an Archon, even though the Archon is so bad.
I like how sometimes, I don't know why people do this when I see even in pro level play, if Archons are so weak and they're so useless, yet every time I see one morphing on the field, no matter how bad the other guy's losing in the battle, they always seem to want to just focus fire that Archon down. So I'm like, okay, they kind of act like tanks. They're like distractions. Like,
that's true. People do like to target fire them a lot.
Alrighty. So I got two last questions. Sorry. Last one is this hypothetical situation. I toss this at day 9. I'll toss it at you two. You have just been given $13 million, an army of slave developers, and you have now been ordained Minister Emperor of Blizzard. You are solely in charge of the direction of StarCraft 2 between now and the release date, and you have just infinite resources to do it. What would you do right now?
Oh, wow. God, there's so much to try to, like, organize into thoughts right now. Like, first off, obviously, chat channels. Multi-realm playing across LAN capabilities for BNet. And I would even make it a hybrid LAN. I would make it so that you have to be logged into your Battle.net account while you play LAN, but you get to play directly against the person. You know, instead of going through the Battle.net server, you're playing directly against them. That way, you know, it still fights piracy, but you still get that LAN latency, and you know, it works better for, you don't have to rely on the Blizzard servers for tournaments. I would change a lot of the map stuff. Like right now, there's like a limit on the total amount you can have uploaded for maps, and there's a limit on individual map sizes. So it like limits people from making maps like Dota and stuff. It's just limits like that, you know, are ridiculous. You should be able to host them on your own computer the way that you could in Brood War. And it's good that they have like one that you can update on the master server, but they should also be able to host them on their own computer if they wish.
That might be placeholder, I think.
Oh yeah,
that
maybe.
Like if I know it's like uncouth to say it's beta, but I think that's one of the situations in which they're like, yeah, they're just trying to just see how the map publishing system is going to work.
I would basically, I think, let's see. It's difficult. I would take away Stim from the Marauder, just because a unit that beefy and with that much DPS, like, should not have that kind of mobility of being able to move that quickly. That or Stim should only increase their attack rate and not their movement speed. But instead, you know, buff something else for Terran to make up for it. You know, like buff their overall DPS, but, you know, lower their mobility by removing Stim. I would nerf Colossi in some way. I think probably lower their range down to 7 with the upgrade and 5 without the upgrade. And then I would change them back to the way that they were in terms of a lot of the stuff that they changed, you know, with the firing rate and then the amount of damage it does, where they made it do the same DPS but do less damage per attack. You know, they did that with the Colossus and the Thor. I would change that back Because, for example, right now you can't do a Colossus drop on people's mineral lines like you could with Reaver drops, because it doesn't even kill a probe in one hit. But before they did that change, it would kill a probe in one hit, so you could actually do that, even though it wasn't all that efficient. Of course, I would rebuff Storm. I'm not exactly sure how I would do that. I would probably experiment with a bunch of different ways between either, bring back... I think I wouldn't want to make the radius bigger again. I would instead, buff the damage or make them stackable but a lot less potent or something like that to make Storm better, because it is just so bad right now against anything except for Marines. And let's see, I'm trying to think about what I would change for Zerg. I think I would change Broodlings from Broodlords so that they didn't affect AI, like you didn't walk against them, like you could walk over them as if they had like no hitbox. I would change I'm trying to think, let's see here. I think I would change the spawn larva thing. I think I saw some thread about this that had some good idea for it. I can't remember right now, but some change for it to make it less like non-forgiving, because right now it's like, as Terran, if you forget your macro and you come back, oh hey, I have 200 energy, well, drop four mules and it's basically easy mode from there. And even Protoss, even though they can't stack Chrono Boost, they can do it on multiple buildings all at the same time. Whereas Zerg, it's like, well, I have too much energy on my queen. Like literally every single energy you get up, it's like wasted time that you could have had more larva. So I would either change it so that it was like buffing the speed that larva were produced instead, or make it so that at the very least, like, reset the time, or I don't know, something to change that so it's not as unforgiving. And then I would change, let's see, I would nerf Viking range. I would nerf basically all air has too much range right now, I think. And then I would remove all the delays from most units that have a delay when they have to move and then attack. Units like Stalkers don't have that, but then a unit like a Hellion, it's like you move and you hit attack, and it has to wait like a full second before the flame comes out. And that is just dumb. That just like hurts micro so badly and really removes cute play from the game, like things with Vulture micro back in the day. And I think I would restructure the Reaper. I'm not exactly sure what I would do with that, but right now, Reapers, like, back in Brood War, Terran had one really good harassment unit, the Vulture, and in StarCraft 2 they have the Reaper, the Hellion, and the Banshee, and it's just kind of silly that they all share the same kind of role. So I think I would remake the Reaper or scrap it and do something else, and then
or give it a better use later in the game or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Because right now it's like in a 1v1 you can't get up to enough of them to have it be really awesome. But in like 2v2s and more, it's Mass Reapers is the most overpowered thing like in the game. You can just run a bunch of Reapers and literally one-shot a Nexus and just run back out, and it's so BS. I do it all the time. It's so BS, but I'm trying to think if there's any other major changes that come to mind right now. Oh, definitely anytime I could implement something that takes more micro, absolutely implement it. For example, the change they did to Phoenixes, it's great that they made them be able to move and attack at the same time. It's horrible how they implemented it. They made it so that Phoenixes, literally, if a Phoenix is on the move command and it walks by an enemy, it'll turn and shoot that enemy while it's moving, and shoot in whichever direction it needs to while moving in whatever direction you told it to move in. Which is just dumb, because then you just put your Phoenixes in the move command and run them around, and it takes like no APM, and you can just do moving shots. In Brood War, with things like Corsairs or Mutalisks, it took a ton of micro, and that's what made it so impressive when players were good at it. And I think I would make it so that you either had to use like the patrol command, or at the very least you would move and attack move and then move again to get it to attack with the Phoenix and then continue moving without decelerating. So at the very least it would take some more micro, because anytime you remove micro from the game, that's a bad move, in my opinion. And I think that's the main... Oh, I would